5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate very much your generous invitation to be here tonight. You bear heavy responsibilities these days.
Welcome to Stock Legends Radio Show, seeking answers, opinions, and the inside scoop, putting you in the front seat on Wall Street.
In today's market,
this is breaking news. Where is it going next?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stock Legends Radio Show. Please welcome today's host, myself, Quick Draw. Also, today we have a guest back on the show. He's been on the show many times. He has a very exciting company with some amazing things going on. His name is Michael De La Garza, and he is the CEO of Cipherloc Corporation, publicly traded under the OTCQB, ticker symbol CLOK. Michael, welcome back to the Stock Legends Radio Show.
Thank you, Justin. Happy to be here.
It's our pleasure. Now, Michael, at the beginning of these shows, for the listeners that may not be familiar with your company, we like to go over a brief history of your personal background and the company background. So why don't you take a moment to tell us a little bit about yourself and Cipherloc and what brings you to where you're at today?
Good. Thank you, Justin. A quick background on me. I won't go into too much detail today, but basically I am a technology individual that goes back to about 1979. I worked for a company called Honeywell Corporation for about 10 years. During that period of time, I was involved in pneumatic to electronic control conversions for chemical plants, pipelines, and so forth. After a long period of time working in that industry, I switched from the chemical industry after about 2 years over to the medical industry. I was involved in the medical industry up through 2007. Part of that involvement was the owning and operating of hospitals, surgery centers, diagnostic centers as an offshoot of being involved in the technology end of that field, starting back with the first MRI, the first CT, the first electronic PAC system, RIS system, hospital information systems. We wrote software for electronic medical records. We wrote software for inventory management. So we've been involved in the technology end of the medical field for about 30 years now. We're still involved in it as far as a software package called CloudMD, the CloudMD software package, which we spun off to a private company this year. We're still supporting that. It's basically electronic medical records, a practice management system to run the business for a doctor's office, all in the cloud, dating back about 9 years. So we're one of the first to go straight to the internet, one of the first to use the word cloud back about 10 years ago. And that company has done very well. There's been about 4 iterations of that software. We're on the final iteration now, which means it's purely in the cloud. Part of that technology, going back to running hospitals and surgery centers, we set up a very large billing and collection company in Houston, Texas. Started off with about 30 employees billing and collecting for doctors. We ramped it up to about 1,300 employees in 2007. And that technology center was billing for 5 hospitals, acute care facilities in Texas, about 400 doctor offices, several surgery centers, and a group of diagnostic centers. After a period of time, we started leveraging new technologies, which was our own data center that we built there in Houston, employed 20 employees around the clock. There was a big problem in the medical field setting up electronic medical records for hospitals because of the size of the files. A lot of these files for MRIs, CTs, and other tests could be in the multiple gigs. And if you had a patient that was a chronic condition, you might have half a terabyte of stored data on this individual. So part of the problem is trying to compress that data and send it out to the hospitals from the data center in Houston out to Dallas or Terrell, Texas, or wherever it might be. So we developed a compression software system that would allow us to compress those images in such a way that they were still diagnostic and the quality was the same. The second problem that we ran into is that we went to our insurance company and said we had about 500,000 medical files that we were sending through the internet, and we wanted to buy an errors and omission policy to cover any data intrusions. You got to remember, this is 2005, 2006. And so after an exhaustive search, we actually found a company who would underwrite us. The problem was the premium was going to be over $1 million a year. So we knew there was going to be a major problem here. Part of running a data center is that we found out from 2003 to 2007 that there were multiple attempts, sometimes hourly, if not by the minute, of people trying to break into our system to steal patient data. We really weren't as acutely aware as we are today of how valuable that data is. And the reason that medical data is more valuable than, say, credit card or financial data is that it includes everything. Next to kin, payment information, where you lived before, your insurance company, all your siblings, relatives, and so forth, and Social Security numbers and other identifiable information. So we knew at the time that there was a problem. We were very successful at keeping the bad guys out because of, better firewalls and things of that sort. That started the company looking for an encryption system that would actually help us encrypt our data, protect it behind the firewall as well as in front of the firewall, but also this massive amount of data that we were sending through the internet. When we were prefetching an MRI for a hospital in Dallas or elsewhere, we needed something that would assure us and the insurance company that that data would be secured. Consequently, we started looking, and we spent 4 years looking for an encryption system. I left the hospital system in 2007, moved out west, and we've been running our medical software program in the cloud, and we were looking exhaustively for different solutions. And first we started with AES and RSA, then DES and triple DES, and multiple other systems. What we found is that we weren't vulnerable to attack necessarily because we were very small on the food chain compared to hospitals and data centers, the government, banks, credit card companies. Those were actually the targets of the hackers in the beginning. Later on, they went after the low-hanging fruit because those systems got a little more sophisticated. The problem is that we found out that data breaches, what we thought was secure is not secure. So after a period of time, we found a company in Idaho that had developed concert with two different universities here in the United States as graduate projects, an AES RSA encryption system that would actually take those encryption keys and morph them into a morphing cipher. And that was the early development of what we call Cipherloc today. Well, today we don't need an AES or RSA. We have our own morphing ciphers that come out of our engine that are completely independent of any third-party software. Now, what's unique about the system is that it's cloud-based. It can encrypt any type of data file. It's a morphing cipher, which means it takes a stagnant encryption key and turns it into a morphing key. And what we mean by that is that we can take a data packet or a data stream, let's say 10 megabytes. We can turn that or blow that into 50,000 different files of different sizes, shapes, and colors. And then we can encrypt each one of those data packets with multiple encryption keys, none of them using any standard type of encryption. So the key size is not the key to this. Originally, key size was the key to encryption, making it more difficult for the hackers to get into. So 128, 256, 512, on and on and on. We found out that encryption size or key size has nothing to do with safety. Yes, it slows down the hacker, but AES, RSA is all based on Cipher blockchaining, and Cipher blockchaining is something that we've been able to break very quickly. And we've actually demoed that at our company this past year. So with a morphing cipher, every data packet is individually encrypted with single or multiple encryption keys, and then they're blown out, so they're unchained as the data travels through the internet. What's unique about this is that our system is that you have to grab those data packets, you have to encrypt them, decrypt them simultaneously in the order that they were encrypted with the correct keys. And every key is unique, and every key is based on a piece of data that might be in another data packet or might be in multiple data packets. So our data points that we pull aren't necessarily in the data packet that's being sent through the internet. It's an unsolvable puzzle, and we've had multiple Israeli cyber defense firms test our technology, and no one has been able to break even one data packet, much less 50,000 of them. And that's our lowest platform. That's our simplest platform of encryption in Cipherloc. So it's a very unique product.
Let's talk specifically about this patent that you got. We understand that the patent process can be very difficult. The verbiage is extremely important. A lot of the bigger companies, when they see technology with such potential like this, they'll go in and try to reword or recreate a patent so that they can copy it in a way with only changing some minor details. What was the patent process like, and how do you think this patent will add value?
We spent 2 years developing this product once we had the algorithm from the scientists. And part of that process is that we had 2 IP attorneys involved in making sure that when we designed the patent and wrote the patent, there would not be nothing in there about the algorithm or how it works. It's a morphing cipher engine patent, so it's based on a piece of hardware. What's unique about this patent and why the process is so important to the company is that's the building block for us for all the additional patents that will come out of here as we build out different verticals, whether it's credit cards, financial, healthcare, data centers, Internet of Things, IoT items. And so what's unique about the patent is that this is the placeholder that explains the technology but does not give away any of the secrets of how the algorithm works. It only explains how we use the algorithm to encrypt data. So there's nothing in there that would lead anybody to write another patent on a morphing cipher engine that would lead them to building a morphing cipher engine. The concept is in there, but the actual technique and how we do it and the algorithm is never listed and never will be. Part of that also is that when we wrote the patent, it's part of a puzzle of what we're building, and we'll have probably a dozen patents by the time we're done with this. The next 11 patents or so will be software-based, but they'll be based on this hardware patent. Secondly, what's really important about the patent is that this is a hardware patent, and we wrote this with the thought in mind that we would be able to use this patent and the technology in cell phones or the Internet of Things, all embedded devices. And so this lays the groundwork for us to be able to patent and secure our data. And what's unique about it is that we're the first company in the world to ever have a morphing cipher patent. And then secondly, we're the first in the U.S. to ever have one approved. It's very difficult right now to get a patent approved, especially if it's based on software. So we wrote this on the hardware end of our system first, and then we'll start building on this patent with all of our software patents. So it's critical to the company. It was a delay of 2 years. We knew that it was going to be a long process. We went through the review process for quite a while, and we were awarded the patent about 1 month ago.
Let's talk a little bit about your revenue strategy, some customers that you may have signed or your potential clients that you'll be going after with this technology. Good.
We have 3 customers signed at the current point in time. One is a data center in Southern California. That is going to be a development center, quasi proof of concept for data centers. What that basically means is that we will install our hardware into the data center. We will start a proof of concept for probably about 90 days after the first year. We'll be encrypting and decrypting data within their data center, bouncing it between servers in there. Once we go live there, then of course that'll be all of the data in motion, encryption and decryption, and that will be the first location. We expect that once that one goes live and the proof of concept is validated, the next customer that we're looking at is a company in Florida. They have multiple government contracts as well as contracts with the ports around the country, airlines, school districts, hospitals, and other companies that deal with the government in different forms or fashion. The most important thing about the second company is that's, again, data in motion, but it's securing data coming off of a near-field communication ID tag or ID card. So these are mission critical. A lot of these are mission critical access points, whether it's in an airport, cruise port. The Port of Miami is one of their customers. They have cruise ships around the world. They have 400 hospitals on their technology, 50 school districts. So these are critical access points. They have a number of government contracts also. And so what's unique about this is that we'll be encrypting data very similar to the way that credit card data is moving around the internet. So this is our proof of concept that an embedded chip card with an embedded chip on it will be able to be encrypted and decrypted in real time at these different turnstiles or these different points where they have to either scan the card, insert the card into a slot, just like a credit card. So that's our proof of concept. Secondly, with this group, they have about 1,000 customers. We're going to start very small. We're going to do a pilot with them. Once the pilot proves out, then this will go into one of their new cloud releases for their technology. It may seem like a little bit of overkill, but if you know what's on these cards, it's all identifiable information on who that person is or what that job function is or what that location is that they're entering and if their access point is good or bad.
And that makes perfect sense because if they were to take the risk and board somebody that has a technology like this, and let's say, for example, it didn't work in the pilot phase, all of that information would be susceptible. So it makes sense for them to move slow. That's just a very square business decision.
Correct. And what's really critical about this, Justin, is that's the second proof of concept. Totally different technology, totally different application of the technology. In their situation, that installation will be all software. So it's all going to be connecting back to cloud in real time, back to Cipherloc through the cloud. And each and every time that they enter and exit, that card that they're going to be using will be re-encrypted with a new cipher. So if somebody were to steal that card and use it somewhere else, because most of these cards are you swipe and then you have to put a PIN in. If somebody were to steal that card and have the PIN, they would be able to enter wherever they wanted. With our technology, they would not be able to use that card but one time, because the second that that card is encrypted, you cannot use it in another location unless you're authorized. And let's say that card is reported stolen, we can basically block that card from being used again. So it's a very useful technology there. And then the last location that we're looking at, or the last installation, is going to be a bank, international bank. The location that we're going to go into is a data center in New York City, and we will be bouncing Cipherloc within their walls of their colo for a period of about 90 days after the pilot in California is complete. The bank wanted to see 2 proofs of concept. We have those lined up as we speak. Once the proof of concepts are complete, then obviously we anticipate that contract with the banks will start a domino effect of other banks coming on, because this technology is an unsolvable puzzle. And unlike current ciphers that have all been broken because they're based on Cipher blockchain, ours is not. Ours is not based on key size or key space. It's based on a piece of the message which is randomized, and then our technology takes the data, blows it out through the internet into individual data packets going down different pipes. So the hacker really has no way to reassemble the puzzle in a very complex set of algorithms. And then if he were to get one data packet and actually capture that data packet, it would be impossible for him to find the next data packet and put it in the order. And remember, we have more than one cipher or encryption key in each of these data packets. So you got to pick the right one, and you got to get all 3 of them or 5 of them or 10 of them or 1 of them in the correct order. And these keys are all randomized. So it's a truly an unsolvable puzzle.
There's really no pattern. There's no set pattern across the board. So you would have to just guess lucky under a ratio that would be nearly impossible. Now let's talk about, we watched this company grow and from you going from test phases all the way to where you are now. It's been very exciting to watch. What are the future innovations of the technology? What's next?
Well, what's next for us is that we are developing a SSL type program that would replace the secured socket layer system that's currently in place, which is easily broken. The federal government has said that it's easily broken. We broke it. We're building one that's based on Cipherloc, and that technology would allow us at any point in the future, once we release that, which will be second quarter next year, we would be able to sell that to the consumer base. So they would be able to use it on websites, on transactions, on email systems, anything where you've got a critical access that you want your data encrypted. Almost all the medical field has a need for it. So that's a product that we're excited about. It's going to be coming out second quarter of next year. Another development that we're working on now is to move our technology onto microchips, which is part of our patent, and be able to include that technology into telephones, cell phones, any mobile devices, any embedded devices with microprocessors in them. So there's a wide There's 6 billion devices in the world right now that we call the Internet of Things, or IoT. In a few years, there'll be 20 billion. We are working with a company in Texas that we've been in early discussions with about taking our technology and actually embedding it into cell phones and future releases of cell phones. So you would actually be able to encrypt the cell phone at the firmware level inside the microprocessor. And that's very exciting because it would secure cell phones and other devices that are transmitting data at a very critical access level. So you wouldn't really need to have anything outside of our technology.
You just completed a major move. You moved your office and your staff. Your staff was spread across the country. You're combining them in one location from Las Vegas out to the Austin area. The new office is in the process of being established. What was your reason for moving into the Austin area, and how do you think the company will benefit from this overall strategic move?
Well, part of the reason for the move was to consolidate all of our brain trust into one location, our developers, our engineers, and, of course, our scientists. And we would have, rapid development in a laboratory-type facility that would be totally based upon what were our verticals that we're building out. So the Internet of Things with the microprocessors, the SSL. And so we're going to have 12 employees that are moving from all over the country, actually all over the world, to the Austin, Texas area. We'll be within 30 minutes of about 3,000 high-tech companies, which was our future customer base. All of the big boys are Dell, Samsung are all located there, Microsoft, Oracle, Amazon. Everybody's in the Austin, Texas area. Within 200 miles of Austin, we have Dallas and Houston, which are 2 other mega markets for our technology. So if all we did was stay in Texas, would be great. But what we're really looking at is the ability to not only hire additional programmers and scientists and so forth and developers to expand the company out as it grows, but also the fact that it cuts down our travel time. We're now traveling 40 to 50 weeks out of the year, several employees. Now we'd be down to maybe a couple of weeks, a year at best, because we'll be able to do everything out of one location. Secondly, the development center will also be our data center in the early stages. We're putting in a data center there, and we'll have multiple racks, and we'll be able to test customer connections and data in real time out of that location. We're going to be on the Google fiber loop there in Austin, which is real important for us for the ability to have extreme bandwidth. And with this type of technology, we would like to have the fastest connections possible. So Austin's a technology corridor. It's called Silicon Hills. It's a fabulous place to do business. The environment there is very friendly, and we have 3,000 opportunities to sell the technology to companies that already sell into the verticals that we want to sell into. So we're very pleased about the move.
It makes a lot of sense to be in that area. Now, let's focus specifically on your sales, marketing, and growth strategies. Having everybody in one area will be a much better environment to collaborate. What is your sales and marketing strategy? Are you going to go after thousands of customers, or are you going to go after a few niche group? What's your target market going to be specifically there?
Good question. We have 4 verticals that we're going to maintain for the company. That's going to be healthcare, financial, which is banking and institutions, credit cards, and data centers. Those are the ones we're going after initially. Our sales strategy is to sign resellers up to resell our products into their verticals that they already have established. So we have 4 resellers signed at this moment in time. We have a tech company in the Midwest. We have another tech company down in Florida, actually 2 tech companies down in Florida. One's a consulting to the insurance industry and other financial institutions. The other one is a government-based group. And then we have a data center in Southern California. And basically what we want to do is leverage their customer base, do a proof of concept to their customers, and then become an add-on or a middleware solution for encryption. Part of that strategy is to go to these people that already have a large base. So if we sell into the base of the companies in Florida, we're talking about probably 1,100 different companies that we have a friendly third party to bring us in. Everyone is looking for security or cybersecurity solutions right now, and most people know after a period of time that what they're currently selling is all malware removal tools after the fact, reactive technologies. We're a proactive technology. So part of our sales force And the growth of the company is going to be to sell into those verticals that we're comfortable with, which is, finance, banking, credit cards, and the healthcare industry. And we're partnering with those companies that already provide software solutions to those companies or those industries. So we're really not going to go knock on doors necessarily. We think we have 4 resellers that will bring us quite a bit of business in the next 12 to 24 months. That's not to say that we won't have our own sales center in Austin. We will. We're thinking sometime midsummer we'll open a second office, which will be administration, sales, and marketing. Obviously, we don't want the development center overrun with individuals that are kicking the tires, but we do want to have the ability to demo their product and explain to customers or potential customers what we offer, what the advantages are. And so we'll be developing out the sales and marketing team after the first year. The most important thing is a strategic move to Austin, Texas, and getting everybody settled in, releasing the product. Our products are ready to go to market in January. So most of these products are custom solutions. They have to be integrated into a current platform. And so that is where our emphasis is going to be starting in January, is looking at all these different industries, looking what the standards are going to be that we have to write to, and then we'll start writing interfaces or plugins, if you will, where Cipherloc is just a cloud-based application that they plug into. When they need to encrypt a file, it queues it up and sends it. And so we are through with the development of our technology. We're writing the customer-facing interface as we speak. That'll be done in mid-January, but that's not going to slow us down from selling the product. We're already, like I said, engaged with a number of different companies in different parts of the country to run the pilots, and then once the pilots are done, we're going to market with this technology. And one of the strategies is that we want to get into consumer-based industry. So we've been speaking to some email companies about adding our technology to their current offering. And let's say it's $1 a month or $50 for a commercial venture per user. It doesn't take very long with emails to be able to ramp up revenue. And so we think that, our sweet spot's going to be both on the consumer side as well as on the industrial side.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, you have to think of the billions of emails that are sent and the billions of people that have, smartphones or smart homes. We're going into the era where we have smart homes. And, a hacker can unlock your door and turn on your dishwasher. So this technology...
Or drive your car.
Exactly. This technology is extremely relevant. Michael, we always enjoy having you on the radio show. You've been on multiple times. We've watched your company grow. We've watched you lead your team into the direction to where you are right now. The move to Austin is very exciting to watch because you'll have everybody in a perfect collaborative environment. And this is a great time for your company. For any investors listening today that would like to get a little bit more information about the company, we would like you to visit www.cipherloc.net. Now that's spelled CIPHERLOC.net. And again, this ticker symbol for the company is CLOK. It's currently trading under the OTCQB exchange, Cipherloc Corporation. Michael, it's been our pleasure having you on the radio show again today. We love having you on, and I can't wait to touch base with you next time to see how everything is going down there in Austin. It's very exciting to watch.
Thank you, Justin. We appreciate the time today.